Hi, it's Reasonable Reviewer, and I wanted to do a review today of Play Monsters game Reign, the Final Battle Royale. It's for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, and they say 30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes people will exaggerate shortness of it or age and that type of thing. In this particular case, I think all of those attributes are exactly correct. All right, so let's go through the components a little bit. There's a mechanic called disaster cards, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The rules are very, very, very straightforward. Very, very, very straightforward. You can see that it's essentially, it's 4 pages, but really, if you've ever played a game before, this is going to be very, very straightforward. You've got this track, and as you progress, you'll go all the way along these tracks, and then you go to the inside, and then all the way around. And every time, it's kind of a countdown. So 11, 10, 9 through 1, and then 9 all the way down to this one, and then 7 all the way down to this one. Every time you get to one of these, one of the lands is going to disappear. And that's what these cards are for. Every time, when you first start off, and everybody knows when this is going to happen. So you flip one over, and this particular land is going to disappear. This particular land is going to disappear, let's say in this case, at turn 12, right? And then you'd go into 9, and then this would be the one that was going to disappear, and then the final one to disappear would be this. Now, why is that important? Because the way you win this game is you are the last person with active pieces on the board, and it's entirely possible that at the end of this, nobody, if you don't play it wisely, it's entirely possible that nobody could have pieces left on the board. Which, by the by, as a parent and a grandparent, not always a bad thing. Turn something into a tie. Let's go over the game board. All right, so here is the game board fully assembled. It only fits together one way, and these are, when we talked about the symbols earlier on the disaster cards, these are the things that disappear. And if you have, when you get to the point on the turn marker, so for example, let's say this was the first one to disappear, by the time you got to this gold symbol here, if this was the thing, if you had any pieces on this, they would all disappear. And again, 3 of them will disappear as time goes on over the course of the game. They only fit together one way. For the very youngest players, it's probably fun for them to let them set up the board. And now I'm going to talk about the armies and the dice and the setup a little bit. Okay, so you've got 4 armies, and I'm going to talk about them a bit in a second. One of the things I'm mindful of is 2 of the 5 Reasonable Reviewer kids are slightly colorblind. So sometimes things that look very, very similar but have slightly different hues are very difficult for the Reasonable Reviewer kids to pick up. In this particular case, not only are they different colors, this kind of an olive drab color, this one's a kind of a chocolatey brown, this one's aquamarine, and these are silver. Not only that, but they look different. Now, the only, I'm not going to say confusing part, but these things are worth different points, and you can, if you've played once or twice, you can tell the difference. So these guys here, they are 3-point units, right? You can see that they're a little bit bigger than the other ones. Then these are the next ones. These are 2-point units, slightly bigger than the 1-point kind of pawns. And everybody has 12, and they got 4 of each. And the way you set this up is you've got these gemstones, and they are placed one at a time, starting with the youngest to the oldest, and that's how they're divvying up the rules. And you can place them anywhere you want on the map, except for the outer circle. The outer circle is this slightly lighter colored area. So anywhere you want, they have to be either, I mean, I guess you could put them in the inside, you can put them in this outer circle. Probably what you're going to want to do, depending on where you think you're going to set up your pieces, and you put down your folks kind of one at a time, you're probably going to want to put them somewhere close, because we're going to talk about what these can do in a minute. We talked about these cards already. Shuffle them, turn one over. You already know what's going to happen based on the turn track here when the disaster is going to strike. And what you do is you move your faction members up to 3 spaces. So you can move forwards, backwards, sideways, any way you want. Cannot land in a space occupied by another player. Then if you move into a space that's adjacent to another player's faction, you may battle them. And may is the key word. You don't have to. You don't have to actually do anything. So let's do an example of a battle. So let's say that a 1 point of the olive colored is against the 3 points of this one. What you're going to do is you're going to roll a regular 6-sided die. You're going to add, in this particular case, 3 to this die roll. In the other case, you're going to add 1 to it. And what you can do with these power stones is you can elect to add a power stone to it, which gives you a plus. And you have, before you roll, you have to decide how many power stones you're going to use. The other thing, remember we said you could move 3 spaces. The other thing that power stones can do for you is they can, per power stone, they can add 1 to your movement capabilities as well. So there you go. That's it. So is it a highly complicated game? No. Is it something that would be fun for the 8 to 12-year-old crowd? Yeah, it's cool because you got kind of near future mechanized looking forces. You've got things that look like they're cyborgs, you know, far future kinds of things. You have something that looks medievally. These folks have axes and ogres with big clubs. And then you've got an oriental looking group. It looks like they're kind of super samurai, I think Samurai Jack world. So all in all, 5 stars. This would be a great thing as a parent with 8 to 12-year-olds. Just teaching them about strategy. The rules are relatively straightforward. It's also possible as a parent or a grandparent to throw the game in a not obvious way. So, which I'm always looking for ways to engage with the little ones and let them win and feel like they got a total, you know, kicked your hindquarters, but not make it obvious to them. So that's just me. That's a parent and grandparent viewpoint. You can also play it dead on strategy. Again, 5 stars. For what it is, kind of a first orientation to miniature and a strategy game, 5 stars. And I highly recommend it. If you've got, again, if you've got 8 to 12-year-olds, if you're looking, unless somebody's never ever played a strategy or miniatures game before, then this could even be a young adult, 20-something, 30-something game or higher. If they've never ever played a game before, and the only thing they've ever played is Monopoly or categories, then this is a really good orientation to topic. If they have played, like my gamers have played games before, this is really more of an entree game that you're going to play with the kids or the grandkids, the younger crowd, to get them involved in games and let them understand a little bit about strategy and tactics. But I really like it for the price. There's a lot of miniatures, and they're cool looking and they're distinctive. And I know everybody would have their own favorite army. I guess you could. There's also a half D6, but I'll go into more of the mechanics. I'll go into more of the mechanics when I do the written review below. But anyway, 5 stars. I love it. I think it's a great game for what it's designed to do.